Salute, salute, salute. Bow, salute. What's happening? Blessings, blessings, blessings. Just nocturnal thoughts with a real quick video, then I'm gonna get out the way. So I did a video the other day talking about the Tyson and Fury versus Francis Ngannou, and it must be some Tyson Fury fanboys that's coming on my channel, and they want to bring up, well, he made a lot of money. Well, this person is on steroids. And first of all, that's like the first thing you try to do when somebody lost or had a very bad performance, and the first thing you want to go to is how much money they made. Then that lets you know all you need to know as far as their performance. Just like, for example, when they was doing an interview with Derek James, and they asked him about Jamel Charlo having the worst night of his life against Saul Canelo Alvarez, and Derek James, the first thing he went to is, well, how can this be the worst night of his life? Look how much money he made in one night. You know what I'm saying? So to talk about all these dudes making money when they get to a certain level, good for them. Kudos for them. You know what I'm saying? They put their life on the line. They should get compensated. If they can make themselves worth millions of dollars, that's cool. But for a fan to be like, oh, at least he made a lot of money, that lets you know that you care about how much money he made versus whether or not he performed and had a good fight. I was listening to Teddy Atlas. You can't really be a boxing fan and not at least every once in a while tap into Teddy Atlas podcast and listen to his thoughts on certain fights. You know what I'm saying? He just got too much old school knowledge when it comes to the sport of boxing. You don't have to always agree with him, but sometimes you have to get his opinion on certain boxing events and styles and reactions and things of that nature. And what he said when it came to the Tyson Fury versus the Francis Ngannou fight, I agreed with like 98, 99% of it. Because what he was saying is basically Tyson Fury won the fight on paper. He said live, watching the fight, he couldn't even tell you who won the fight. It could have been a draw. Francis could have won to Tyson Fury. He had to go home and watch the fight cold with no distractions to give his honest opinion on who won the fight if you scored it round for round for round. Taking notes, being very surgical, using a scalpel and not a fucking butcher's knife. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta respect his opinion. In my opinion, I have to respect his opinion, because what he said is pretty much the same way I look at it too. Like, if you look at it and you really dissect it and you take out the imagination, the phenom of human nature to fill in the blanks and fill in the gaps of, you know what I'm saying, when you see something that you didn't expect to see, when you thought Francis Ngannou was going to go in there and get destroyed, and you see him being poised, and you see him being patient, and you see him holding his own and knocking down Tyson Fury and popping that eye and cutting and taking elbows and keep coming and being, when you see all that, it's easy to fill in the dead spaces with your imagination of who you want to win. Of course, Tyson Fury was stealing rounds with jabs, using his experience to score and steal rounds. But even with all that being said, it was still such a close fight that even Teddy Atlas, surgically, specifically, detailed, with notes, punch for punch, still really was only giving Tyson Fury a slight edge on the scorecards by like a round, maybe 2 rounds, but by damn near just a round. And that was still with him letting it be known that it was plenty of rounds where it was nothing happening, dead rounds. swing rounds or empty rounds with no action. And Tyson Fury is supposed to be the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was winning with tactics like stealing rounds with just a jab, playing it safe. When it comes to boxing, they always say a great jab can take you around the world. We all know when it comes to boxing, the first punch you're supposed to learn, after you learn how to get your feet set, after you learn how to get your hands set, get your chin tucked, the first punch you should learn is how to throw a jab. Throw the one, throw the one, throw the one, throw the one. Before you ever throw the 1-2, you throw the one. But everybody knows if you have a great jab, that is your number one weapon that can defeat people if you know how to use your jab, especially in a variety of ways, to get you out of jams, to give you the right range, to set up all your shots. Everything works behind the jab. But we also know in boxing, one of the most boringest ways to win a fight is to only use the jab. Like if Mayweather's style was only to use his jab, he would have been even more boring, because people thought of Mayweather as a boring fighter, and he was still using his defense artistically. So it was a combination of him having a great punch selection, of real fast reflexes, and a great jab. But on top of that, he was a defensive wizard who couldn't be touched. So at least you had that. And when you look at him when he was Pretty Boy Floyd and he had good hands, he was knocking mugs out like Diego Corrales and Ricky Hatton. He was knocking mugs out. So when he got his hands started to fail him, he relied on his defense being spectacular and phenomenal, to where that was what draw attention still, that his defense was so great. But if you just a fighter and everything else is basic, your defense is basic, you know what I'm saying? You don't have good power, you're not knocking people out, you don't have a great hook, you don't have a great uppercut, you don't have, you know what I'm saying, anything spectacular that's going to be polarizing and knock somebody out, and you just got a jab, you usually are not going to be a crowd pleasing. That's one of the easiest and boringest ways to win a fight. It's just by out jabbing an opponent. That's kind of amateur. Once you get to the professionals, if all you got is a jab, you're not going to be a huge draw. Now, I said that to say this. UFC, mixed martial arts, but UFC, there's so many ways you can win. There's so many ways you can be crowd pleased. Flying knees, elbows, Superman punch, leg lock, heel locks, foot locks, guillotines, you know, rear naked chokes, arm bars, you know, all kind of shit, jiu-jitsu, ground and pound. You know, you can submit somebody in millions of ways doing mixed martial arts. You can knock them out, you can tap them out. There's millions of ways you can beat them in UFC. But one of the most boringest, simplest ways of winning in the UFC is just by dominating your opponent on the ground. But you can't effectively knock them out or choke them out or tap them out. But you can go the whole distance of a fight. But if you got man control and keeping him on the ground, and he can't maneuver, he can't escape, he can't, you know what I'm saying, get in position to lock you or choke you out, and you just stay on top of him and stay mounted on top of him and flip him over and hold him down, but you can't get good punches in, you can win like that. But that's one of the most boringest ways. That's one of the reasons why people would criticize mixed martial arts and UFC when it first came out, because it was like these dudes just hugging each other the whole time. Before you had all the styles starting to really show through, sometimes you have just guys that would just be wrestling on the ground. Ground and pound was trash. Now, I said that to say this, I'm comparing winning in boxing with just a jab, which you can do it, but it's not the best way. It's not the best style. It's not the best way to win a fight in boxing. UFC, you can win just by ground control. Just by holding somebody down in ground control, they'll stand you back up, y'all go back down, you get ground control. You try to get some punches off, you can't get off any good, you can't ground and pound, you can't submit them, you can't get them in an arm bar, you just can hold them down. You can win because overall you control the fight. You can win like that, but that's boring as hell. So when people say Tyson Fury lost to Ngannou, or Tyson Fury won the fight, but Francis Ngannou won the moment, he won the night, he won the people, and people want to argue it, I look at it like this. Why don't you just flip it around? What would you expect from Tyson Fury if he went into the UFC and fought Francis? You would expect him to get dominated. You would expect him to get submitted or ground and pound out or choked out. You know what I'm saying? Just like when Brock Lesnar first went into the UFC and fought Frank Mir, he got beat with a little heel lock and tapped him out. You know what I'm saying? But you would expect for Tyson Fury to go in there, get picked up, slammed down, choked out, arm barred out, tapping out one way or another way, right? But say if he went in there and Francis would try to, you know what I'm saying, go in, dive in, and he was getting stuffed out. Every time he tried to go in for a tackle or go in there and try to take his legs, Tyson Fury would sprawl out and stuff him and stop him from taking him down. Then Tyson Fury picks up Francis and slams him on the ground. But Francis, having more experience grappling, having more experience in the ring, the octagon, in the cage, he ends up winning majority of the rounds by just holding them down, not being able to ground and pound them to submission, not being able to get in no kind of, you know, arm locks or guillotines or whatever kind of chokes it is. He can't do none of that, but he can hold Tyson Fury down. Tyson Fury escapes a little bit. They stand him up. They both want to. They standing up. Francis can't get off no big powerful shots. Tyson Fury, you know what I'm saying, dancing around a little bit. There's a lot of dead time. They clinch up. They end back on the ground. Francis getting more control, but he never taps him out. If that same fight happened, you would say, well, Francis won the majority of the rounds because he would have more control, holding them down. He really couldn't submit him, though. He just would do the basics. He could get off a few little punches, but he couldn't do no real damage to Tyson Fury. On the other hand, Tyson Fury, who never fought in the octagon before a day in his life, picked up Francis, slammed him down, almost got him in an arm bar, almost got him in a heel toe. You know what I'm saying? Had him in trouble and had him bruised up. By the end of the fight, Francis Ngannou nose is busted up, and Tyson Fury looked like he never was in the fight. Who would you say won that fight? You would say the same thing. You would say Francis Ngannou won a boring fight with just being able to hold Tyson Fury down. Nobody expected Tyson Fury to, you know, be able to survive, but he was the one that was picking up Francis and slamming him down and almost choked him out one time and did more damage. So when I look at it from that perspective, and you want to be like, well, he making money. He made all this money and he's going to be retired undefeated. Okay, good for him that he's going to retire undefeated. At the end of the day, just like that movie with Wesley Snipes and what was the dude named Vin Rames, where Vin Rames was the heavyweight champion and he went to jail and he ended up fighting Wesley Snipes. When he got back out, he was still the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, but everybody knew the real champion was Wesley Snipes, who whooped his ass in a penitentiary. Just nocturnal thoughts, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Salute, salute, salute.